Good evening. Hi, I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host. And welcome to Fighting CPS. Stop Taking Our Children. Hope everyone had a lovely day. We had some great weather out there. This particular podcast is live from California, and it's Tuesday evening right now. I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day, once in the evening and once in the morning, at 10 o'clock in the morning and at 7 o'clock at night for 1 hour. And I'm here to talk about the Child Protection Services or the Child Protection System or some of the other names in other states, like other states that may be the Department of Children's Services, DCS. It could be also other kind of names, but it's the agency as a branch of social services that's mandated by the federal government to protect our children from neglect and abuse and do family reunification. Hi, ISIS Roger. DSS is yours. Okay, great. Glad to meet you there, ISIS Rogers. For all you that are texting in, I would love to know, besides your name, I need to know what city and state you're from and your question. And if you have a question for me, I'll try my best to help you. You're in an area of very terrible, terrible agency, this Child Protection Services. Now, one way besides texting a comment, and I love to hear from everybody, just your name, city, and state. And if you're from another country, that's fine too, because I've had Australia, Canada, United Kingdom, Ghana, and Mexico come in here and so forth. And so, anyway, this is an open forum here. Our purpose is to talk about child protection services and how I may be helping, because I was once involved. I've been fighting for 14 years, but I've been there. I know what it is, and hopefully some things that I've done help with you all and can help you out to do so, and some ideas and so forth. Now, besides texting in, you can also call in. I have an office number, 626-698-0990, and you're welcome to call in. Now, ISIS Roger, you're from Virginia. Okay, good. You're from a place called Grundy, Virginia. They took my kids after false accusations. I know that. I was wrongly false accusated. The entire county has over 1,000 CPS cases open currently, and all underneath zero proof of accusations. Wow, that's pretty heavy there. That's pretty heavy. And so as I was saying, that if you want to talk my show, I don't have anybody scheduled tonight, so it's open right now. So I'd love to have someone else talk besides myself about your case. You just call in 626-698-0990, and you're free to talk about something that all of you, I've talked to over 500 some people here at different parts of the country. You all have something in common. You have an agency that's gone rogue, an agency that's gone bad. And, I really feel for you. I really hurt for you. And it seems like no matter what place that people call in, it's bad. It's really bad. And it's a harmful thing when your children are illegally taken from you. CPS does illegalize child trafficking. They do it, but they're child trafficking your children to put them into foster care, into the foster system. The foster system can be a single family home, a group home, a shelter. But it's terrible because they want them in there because that's when they start collecting money. They get a lot of money from the federal government, over $20,000 per child per month. And, they're giving that money and they don't use it on your children. And they believe every allegation is true. You're guilty until you're proven innocent. It's the only court of law that you're guilty before you're proven innocent. Everyone else is you're innocent till you're proven guilty. But the social workers believe exactly what the allegation has called for. So I believe you on the numbers. 1 in every 20 children in the United States is being investigated by CPS. Over 3.8 million children. 3.8 million children. Hear that number? That's the whole United States. That's a lot of people. And now their investigation is that every time they come in to see a home, which they're not supposed to enter because you give them permission, you don't know right from wrong, they take your child because every child's in imminent danger. Now, I like to define imminent danger for you all that are listening out there. Imminent danger is when a child is being hurt, like, for instance, a child is screaming or yelling and the parent throws them against the wall. That's imminent danger. If there's a shooting going on at your home or a knife wielding things where people get hurt and stuff like that, that's imminent danger. Or your house is on fire, that's imminent danger. But just because of neglect and abuse doesn't mean necessarily it's imminent danger. But they want to take it that way, and they want to take your child, and then you got to go through hoops and do all these things, and you have to prove your case and everything, and it is horrible. Now, if you don't want to call in right now at 626-698-0990, and you still want to be a guest on my show, I have a producer. Her name is Grace. She does a marvelous job, and she can be reached by emailing her at grace@vincentwdavis.com. It's being scrolled across the bottom of my screen, but you want to email her and tell her you'd like to be one of my shows, my morning or evening show, and it's either Monday or Wednesday, or whatever it is. That's all you have to tell her, and she'll arrange to have you on the show, and you can talk about your case. Now, I want to thank Mr. Davis and his company, Vincent Davis and Associates. It's a law firm in Southern California, for producing this podcast. And he has said that if you want some help, he'll help you. All you have to do is call 888-888-6582, and you can talk to him, and he can help you. He is a family law attorney, very professional. In fact, he is my first rule I have on my show. I have 3 rules. One is you have to get an attorney to fight CPS. 2, you need to have some type of a notebook to keep track of all the incidents. And 3, you do not talk to social workers and don't let them in your home or take your children. And you don't let them take your children from the hospital either, because there's medical trafficking. It's unbelievable what there is, this way of trafficking our children. CPS is doing alienation, which is illegal. That's where they separate the children from the parents, and they try to do that. So I really hear for you again there. So ISIS, Roger, I'd like to more about your case and what I can help you. I understand they don't have proof. In fact, it's really a shame how they have abuse of power. They'd love to do abuse of power. And this is an agency you're supposed to trust. Your children are your number one priority. You have constitutional rights and civil rights, and all of them get violated. CPS is notoriously one of the child protection system, which is CPS, or in California, the Child Protection Services, CPS, or the Department of Child Welfare in Arizona, or it could be something else here, are all the same thing. Hi, Danielle. I'm so glad to see your smiling face. I know you're from Ackworth, Georgia, and she had talked about on my show about children being taken to Texas because they couldn't be treated in Georgia. It's a shame. There's a lot of issues going on there. Again, Daniel, if you'd like to talk, give an update of your case, I'd love to have you go there. So anyway, going back to the first rule, and this is the key to your success of your case, and somehow you have to come up with hiring an attorney. There are many ways to hire an attorney, but they all boil the same thing. It takes money. And I know that you're going to say, well, gee, I'm giving an attorney in court. Yeah, that's a public defender. They're not going to defend you. The court is a kangaroo court. I know from personal experience. And the public defenders is friends of the social work, attorneys, and it's terrible how they, with all the attorneys there, they'll have attorney for the social worker, attorney for each child, attorney for each parent. Then they'll have the bailiff and the clerk and the judge, and it's all corrupt. It's all corrupt. You don't stand a chance. So what you need to do is get a real attorney. It's like you're going to have heart surgery. Are you going to have a layman open up your chest cavity? Are you going to yourself operate and do the chest cavity? No, you're going to get a professional doctor that's taken medical school, that's done an internship, and that's been mentoring other doctors so they know what they're doing. Same thing goes true for family law. You need a family law attorney. And if you're looking for attorneys, I always suggest find 10 attorneys that are experienced in family law. Of the 10, narrow down to 5 that have done CPS cases, Child Protection Service. They have fought and won and taken your children, gotten your children back. Those are the kind of attorney you want. From that 5, I'm going to give you one that fits in that 5 right there. His name is Vincent W. Davis. He's a professional family law attorney. He's done this for many years. He has won cases against CPS. He has got back your children. In fact, right now he has a 30-minute consultation that he'll do for you for only $49.99. That's $50 that he'll talk to you about the strategies of fighting CPS and getting your children back. He's a real attorney. I'm not an attorney, but he is. He knows the law. He practices the law in Southern California, Northern California, and all the 50 states. And so his retainer fee is based on the complexity of the case, how long the case has been going on, and where it's located. It's a sliding scale one. Okay, I will talk about ICPC. IPCC is an interstate agency that helps with the transition of children from one state to another state. I will talk about that, Danielle. Yes, Vincent does other states. He does. You just need to talk to him. I'm going to show what. Yes, I will talk about ICPC. Excuse me. I will talk about that. Okay. And yes, Vincent does other states with guardianship, like in probate and other states. Yes, he does that. Isis Rogers knew they opened up multiple cases back to back without ever contacting me and then summoned me to court. Then opened 2 more cases and took my kids. I just heard my phone ring. I don't know if someone's trying to call in or not. Love to have you. Okay, Danielle will call in. Good. All right, when you call in there. So I'm talking about rule number 1. And you need an attorney. I told you have one, Vincent W. Davis. You need to call in to 888-888-6582. Tell them that Bob Pace sent you. Schedule a consultation with them, and you can talk about the strategies of CPS and how they get your kids back. Again, when you talk to Mr. Davis, tell them that Bob Pace sent you. So that's my rule number 1. And Daniel said that she will call in. Michelle Croswell, welcome. Robertson, we went through ICPC 2 times and going through it now for adoption of fugitive granddaughter, or this is someone that Michelle, we went through IPC and going through it now for adoption of her fugitive kid or granddaughter. Okay. Well, we're waiting for Danielle to call in. Let me find that topic of the ICPC there. Hold on 1 second here. Okay. Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay, ICPC is called the Interstate Compact on the Placement of Children. This is where they're going to place children in other states. And it's regarding adoptions that takes place across state lines, also involved in the Interstate Compact and the placement of children. An important legislative agreement to facilitate interstate child welfare relationships. Okay. Good evening, Bob Pace. Hi.
Hey.
Danielle.
Yeah, hey, it's me.
Okay, I was just trying to get into ICPC. What would you like to know?
Right. Well, I did reach out to them, and what's crazy is, what is it about? Like, it can take a long time. Like, it can take longer than they said, 5 to 18 months, and I don't see how. But the Interstate Compact, now I found out that Texas has to approve for him to even come back to Georgia.
Really?
Yes.
Well, it was started in 1960 and is supposed to serve to organize a unified system of communication between agency states and relative individuals in the United States to promote the placement of efficient and clarify states' responsibility. Now, it started pretty much on the East Coast in the 1950s, and a group of social service administrators gathered informally to study the regulation of interstate child placement, particularly in foster care. Among the concerns was the impact of changing demographics, such as increased American mobility and greater divorce rates on children. The group identified 3 problems with the current non-uniform system of interstate child welfare relationships between states. First, statute for the protection of children who move across state lines did not exist. That was the first problem that they had come across. Hold on here. Second,
what's crazy is, like, remember? Oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Second, the sending state has no power to ensure proper care and supervision of the child by the receiving state. Okay.
Right. And
then
like,
the third,
to that, tonight on my visit with my son, what you just said, my son was biting his nails and kept looking like he would lean up looking to see if like somebody was coming, and it looked like, and he's done this in the past when he got, like, he's been attacked on video before by another individual at the place he's at while we were visiting. So
wow.
Yes, the sending state cannot ensure that my kid's going to be okay, you know?
Yeah.
And that's, so yeah, they're right about that.
Well, third, here's the third thing. The sending state lacks a mean to compel the receiving state to provide service in support of the child's out-of-state placement. So now they've given you 3 things that have really impacted bad. The drafters of what would become the Interstate Compact on the place of children, chief among was Dr. Mitchell Wendell, submitted the final draft back in 1960. 2 months later, New York signed in as the first state to ratify the compact. By 1990, all 50 states.
Was that first came up with it?
1960. Okay, there was a 12-state conference, and Dr. Mitchell Wendell submitted the final draft, which was approved in January of 1960. 2 months later, New York signed on as the first state to ratify the compact. By 1990, all 50 states, the District of Columbia, and the U.S. of Virgin Islands, Guam, Puerto Rico, and so forth, had enacted the compact into law. So it wasn't until 1990 it went into law. Okay.
Wow.
In adopting the compact, though, the United States Child Welfare Agency, social workers, other foster care and adoption professionals, and prospective placements have a general uniform system in which the safety and protection of children placed outside their home state or temporary lines are better ensured. Now, this is where the ICPC applies. It's important to listen here on this one here. The IPC contains 10 articles outlining the purpose of the compact, relevant definitions, conditions for placement, and the roles of sending and receiving states. These articles are identical in all member states, according to the American Public Health Service Association, of which the administrator of the IPC is an affiliate. The compact is plainly applicable to the placement of a child by a state public child welfare agency with a relative family, foster family, or adoptive family. Placement of a child by an individual entity in out-state adoptions and placement of a child by an individual entity into a licensed residential treatment center.
Really?
Yeah. Now, Article 8 describes two situations in which a child is moved out of the original state, and the IPC does not apply first. When his parent, step-parent, grandparent, adult brother or sister, adult aunt or uncle, or his guardian are sending him to any such relative or non-agent guardian in the receiving state, and second, when an alternative agreement with the force of the law exists between the sending state and the receiving state. Additional guidance is provided by the ICPC regulations, which are issued by the Association of Administrators of Interstate Compact on the placement of children to more officially perform the terms and provisions of the compact. Now, there's some debate among state and federal courts whether the ICPC applies to the placement of children with non-custodial. See where it says play.
Non-custodial?
Yeah, it says here when the parents. Okay.
But it talks about non-custodial.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back. I lost my thing there. Okay, there is some debate among states and federal courts whether the IPC applies to the placement of children with non-custodial out-of-state parents. Advocates for a broad. Go ahead.
So, like, with him being, because he's from, like, you know, we are family in Georgia, and there is family here, because that's what we're doing. Like, they've never contacted the family, or even myself. Like, they had already had him in foster care and everything before they even, like, right, my mom died, and then, like, you know the story, my aunt took him and threw him to the state, kept him from me, and made it hard, and then all of a sudden he's gone, and I'm trying to find him, and it took a month and a half, but they never contacted us, and they just went along and pushed the foster care through, and they already had it in the works of sending him out of state. By the time I found out, he got shipped out 4 days later.
Yeah, because you were not the custodial parent. You were not the custodial parent. What happened? Your mom was, and when your mom passed away, your sister, who is his aunt, right?
Yeah, it's my mom's sister. Yes.
Your mom. I'm sorry, your mom's sister. She had somehow gotten custodial of him, right?
Well, she didn't have, like, that's where she interfered with, because I went up to get him the day of my mom, and she took him out of the house and, like, abused him pretty much, and, like, drug him up to her car, and I'm standing there just still in shock, like, trying to figure out, I mean, I just showed up. I mean, I didn't even have time to walk in the front door, and I mean, and they're not even looking at that. Like, they all threw it off. Like, they blew all that off.
Well, you need to emphasize that you are the biological mother, are you not?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay. The rule is the biological mother is the most important. The biological mother and father is where the child should be placed. It's the best placement of any child is shown there. But
the original order said that if something was to happen to my mother, she was the only person. It was me and her on the paperwork on the order. And if she was something to happen or become incapacitated, then I automatically inure my rights and become his caregiver, right? And my aunt, when she intervened in that and took him, and then she gave him to the state, she told them that I abandoned my kids and that I had not talked to her in over 10 years, which was a lie. and the caseworker then, I guess, took that information and ran with it, and that's where they failed, because they didn't contact the family, nothing, and they didn't even, they know where I was, and they kept throwing up probation.
Well, here's the thing is let's see how the ICPC process works. There are steps involved in doing it. So let's see what they are. Step number one.
Because he has no family in Texas. Like, there's no family out there. He's out there by himself. All his family is here in Georgia. Like, there's no one out there. So he's at that facility. I can't even get to him.
Let's look at the steps. Let's look at the steps and see where they may have gone wrong.
Okay.
The caseworker or adopted entity in the sending state creates a packet that includes the child's social, medical, and educational history, current status of any court case, and information about the person being considered for placement. So who in Texas are they placing it with?
They place him in a facility called Devro in League City. We have Devro here in Georgia.
It's not with the individual they're placing. They're not putting it with the individual.
No, he wasn't put with an individual. He was put with a facility. When we got individuals right here in Georgia, like me.
Well, I understand that, but I understand that. Why was it not placed with the individual? Why is it replaced in the facility?
I have no idea. They said there was no local placements in Georgia. There was no placements in Georgia when clearly.
What did he need in Georgia?
I guess from the information my aunt had told them, the aunt that did this.
Right.
Like, she told them that there was nobody willing or able to take him, which is a lie, and that's what we're fighting now.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm dealing with my mother's death, and I also have my disabled brother that I take care of, that I had to get, and then I ended up getting incarcerated because I had to go get my brother from Florida. So while all this is going on, I'm trying to get out of jail so I can, because I'm on probation and I'm not supposed to leave the state, but there was a hurricane coming, and I had to get him safe and get him home. And plus, still dealing with my mother's death, I lost time there dealing with my son, and that's when I think that's because from then on it's been. I didn't even know. Like, I walked in the courtroom and they said pretty much I had no say that he was going.
Is the capital of Texas? Is the capital of Texas San Antonio?
No, it's in League City.
No, they say that the packet is forwarded to the central ICPC office in the sending state, usually located in the state capital.
Oh, okay.
That's what they say. That's what they say. It says usually located. It didn't say always, but it says usually. The sending state reviews.
And the reason why.
Go ahead.
Well, I'll tell you what's up. The reason why, like you said, ICPC the other day, right? You told me to look it up and look into it. Well, I did, and then, okay, my aunt and uncle are in the process of, and they're making it hard for them too to even get it. Like, it's even hard. But there's a lady that works at this facility now that's in Texas. There's a couple people that they have to approve the placement for my son to be. So they have to come. So it's only slowing down the process when at the end of the day, none of this should have ever happened. He should have never left the state. And that's what threw up the red flag with me of why do these people all of a sudden now have to be involved when he should have never left Georgia to begin with if these people did their job right the first time. If they would have followed by their own policies and procedures, we would not be having this problem. My son would have never, because they've never been involved. They don't have, it's all based off information, and that's why people should never call and just out of spite, because you're damaging, you're hurting that child, that family, those parents, and their friends. You're hurting their siblings.
Have you got a hold of, in Texas, have you got a hold of the ICPC office?
I just did.
Okay.
When we had just talked the day before yesterday, I believe.
Yes, right.
Live,
right.
You had told me to contact ICPC. I did, and I just talked to them, or I'm talked to them today, and they're supposed to return my call tomorrow. So I will have updated information tomorrow.
Yeah, make sure you still talk to them, because it says that all parties have to approve with the out-of-state placement.
Right.
All parties.
They put on the monthly. Okay, so they're supposed to have monthly meetings about my son, right?
Right.
They put. I have not been able to attend one of them, but it says the mom should be involved, and I'm very actively involved. It's what they choose, and the caseworkers here in Georgia, I keep asking for the month. When's the monthly meeting? When's the monthly meeting? And every month it says absent. The mother absent, absent. No. I have text messages from these people, the caseworkers, telling me, "Oh, well, it's coming up. I'll get it for you," and then it never comes.
Is this for interstate adoption? Is your child being adopted? Is what they're involved, or is this being treated?
No, he's 18.
So that's right. I forgot. That's right. He's 18.
Yeah. Look, if there was somebody trying to adopt my kid,
okay. First of all, he's 18. He's no longer a minor, and that is where it really becomes a problem, because he himself, and I have an 18-year-old son that just turned 18, and I know what you're going through, because I used to get checks for him. I used to do all kinds of things, like his medical. He has to give permission for me to talk to him about his medical, because now he's 18.
Really?
Yes.
I don't even know.
I cannot talk about. I cannot talk about his doctor. I can't talk anything without getting permission.
You got to get permission from him, or
from him, because he's no longer a minor. He is 18. He's considered an adult.
And then let me tell you this. My son, there is an open case right now in probate court here, and that's why I was asking you, does Vince help out with things like that? Because I definitely am looking to talk to him if he does do out-of-state adult guardianship, because the Department of Behavioral Health here in Georgia applied for adult guardianship of my son June of last year, right? Well, the probate in the county that this is in will not. There's no movement done on the case, and I've scheduled a day for me to go file my paperwork, but I want to get an attorney first. But for some reason, they've kept it open this long, and they have not granted the state custody of my guardianship of my son. And I'm hoping with the good faith and praying that it's because they're wanting me to because they know I haven't been involved. I mean, I've been but I just have to get all my ducks in a row, and then with my aunt. But that's where the department's coming in at, and they did the home study at my aunt's house and everything. But they're trying to make my aunt kind of make us turn on each other. You get what I'm saying? Like, they do not want me in the picture at all. Like, even as my son's as an adult, they want me done. Like,
well, see, I don't understand why they're. For instance, I don't understand why they're involved, because the National Council of Adoption, the National Council of Adoption is where I'm getting this from, and this is primarily dealing with adoption between states. Now, your son is an adult, and that is where the rules are a little bit, and that's where an attorney comes in handy. Because you really
and that's what the confusion is.
Yeah.
Because where is the fine line? Where's the boundaries? Because I mean, it started when he was a child, but still, he was even 17 when all this started. Like, so there's still legalities with that. But where is, and that's where I know where it lies. It's just I definitely am going to be because that's where the adult guardianship. I know once I go to court with that, I know I'm good, and I feel really good about that. Me and my aunt. But it's so after all this for all this is unnecessary for them just to bank off my kid. It's all money. That's and with these other people that are talking about their cases and stuff, I don't understand how they can send kids out of state from their home state to get services, and just to bring out-of-state kids in, like they bring Texas to Georgia, Georgia to Texas, and they get more money. If that's trafficking. I mean,
yeah, it is. It is.
It's a big example of child trafficking.
Okay, what I like you to do is I like you to look up ICPC. What is it on Google? And you'll see the first line you come to for the National Council for Adoption. And that's where I was reading from that.
And that's it. Okay, I'll definitely be, because like you said, it falls under he is an adult now. So what are the legalities of that? What's the, and that's where when I try to get answers, people are like, some of them have washed their hands of it. Like some of them even just left the case. I mean, they've quit the job because that's how messed up this is. And I can't believe that the government's even looking past this and not just ignoring it.
Yeah.
Like these are our kids. These are families. These are what makes America happen. You know, like what's up? I mean, it's crazy. It's ridiculous. But I mean, the naked eye don't see what's going on in this area of our lives. Like,
right.
The average person is not, if they don't know someone or if they're going through it themselves, they're not going to see it. Because me, as the mother of my son, and never having DFACS, we call it DFCS over here in Georgia, and then CPS, and then I was seeing something about CWAP in Texas. So children without placement.
Yeah.
In this hotel, my son was even being hotels here in Georgia. He was.
Right.
And it's just to think that the average person, not going to see this, but when you firsthand experience it, and that's when you see all of it, and it's like, let me tell you, it's an eye opener, and it hurts and it's exhausting, but but you don't see it on a normal.
Right.
Basis, you know?
I want to relay a message from Michelle Crosswell Robertson. It takes time for the ICPC. The person in the receiving state has to go through a home study, which I just read to you, as in our case. She had a case. We had to go through classes to become foster parents. I'm sorry, what?
Like, so my son, with him and my aunt, that's where he's going to be. That's where we're going to be. But the home study, what does the home study consist of? They've approved the home, which they told me back in November that he was coming back to Georgia, and they still, I mean, now.
Well, here's what makes it complicated. Here's the problem that I see, Danielle. Your son is 18. He's an adult.
Right.
Unless his rights as an adult, unless his rights as adult been taken over by the state, he still makes the decision. Now, who has see, also Michelle, he's no longer a minor, so it makes no difference who has the parental rights. There's no parental rights. I'm trying to answer Michelle. She's one of the people that text a message in there. And Michelle's asking who still has the parental right. Well, everybody's trying to help you. Everybody's trying to help you, Danielle, because this is what this is all about, this show. So Michelle is asking you, do you still have the parental rights? Well, she wouldn't have the parental rights because he's 18.
No.
So her mother, when he was a minor.
Until he was 18.
Right. Oh, you did have to use 18. I thought your mother did.
She had guardianship, but I never lost my rights though.
Okay. All right. So everybody's out there listening. Everybody who's listening, Danielle's son is now an adult. He's 18. She had the parental rights to her son until he turned 18. And then I guess at the age of 18, you're now no longer a minor. And also the guardian of that child was her mother because she was incarcerated and she was in jail and had to take care of their personal matters. But now she wants to have a relationship with her adult son. And somehow her son, was he under the age of 18 when he sent from Georgia to Texas?
Yes.
So now he's just turned 18. And what's happened is that he is
18 July of last year.
Okay. So in July of 18, where was he? He turned 18 when?
July of last year, July.
Okay. Where was he at July when he turned 18? What state was he in?
When he turned 18, I hate to say it, he was in Texas.
Okay. So right there, the child protection system had placed a child from Georgia to a facility. It wasn't going to a home. He was going to a facility for treatment. What was the treatment for?
It's a behavioral health treatment center. That's all.
Okay. So he must have exhibited. I'm not saying he did. I understand that. I'm saying that.
Nothing about my child.
I know
they didn't know nothing. They didn't have no background on him or nothing. My aunt made him out to be
Yeah,
and he
I
was not.
understand that. I understand. I'm not doubting what you're saying. The problem is what is perceived. What is perceived. Your problem is you're fighting.
Right.
You're fighting your mom's sister, who they have convinced that your son, when he was under the age of 18, had a mental health problem. So that's why he's being transported from Georgia to Texas. And right now, Georgia couldn't handle children because that was the article from Atlanta. Remember?
Right.
Okay,
Right.
so the
And for
article was
autistic and
about why are
ADHD.
children being sent from Georgia to Texas? Because they were diagnostic by the child protection system. I'm not calling them service, but the system, because of behavioral mental problems. And so what happens is that in July 18, he was already in Texas trying to go to a
Right.
facility, but they probably hadn't finalized it. So what's happened from July of last year to now? What's he been doing?
He's still at the facility, and June of last year, right before he turned 18, the state of Georgia, the Department of Behavioral Health here and Disabilities, they applied for adult guardianship. They petitioned for adult guardianship of him. It has not been granted. It's still open right now, and they are waiting. Now I finally found out what needs to be done. I'm going to petition because they have not granted it at all, and I'm going to step up and I finally found out I'm going to have to petition for adult guardianship. That's all they're waiting on. So it sounds to me like it's in good findings, like good terms. To me, it sounds like it's a good thing. But then again, that's why I need to talk. I will be getting an attorney because I don't want to go in this blind.
So what you want to do is called the petition of adult guardianship.
Yes, that's it.
Okay.
And I'm supposed to go file that tomorrow.
Okay.
In the court.
Okay, so everybody understands we are helping Danielle. She's been on the show before. She has an adult child now who's been in limbo in the state of Texas, going for a treatment facility that he was diagnostic, and it was alleged that he had emotional problems by her mother's sister. Now, I'm not taking sides or saying who's right or wrong, but that's why he was there. And during the intern, he turned 18. So he now is caught in a really bad situation. He's kind of lost there. And people don't know what to do. People don't want to do. So what you need to do is you need to do a petition. Let me see if I can find that for you. Yeah, let me see if I can find that. Petition of adult guardianship.
I know that I did read on for a petition for adult guardianship, and over here in the court, if it's one person petitioning, then you have to have a medical, like a doctor or a psychologist. What is it? A psychological evaluation or a psychiatrist do an evaluation and sign off that you're okay, or another relative or another person. And me and my aunt are the ones that are going to be. But now the DFAC DFCS has went to my aunt's home and checked it and all this other stuff. And they've mentioned, they've been wanting her to sign with them adult guardianship for guardianship of my son, to where they can have her and them they still want access to my child. You get what I'm saying? Like
here's another thing. Here's another thing. If your child is proven not to have a mental health problem, then it's all what you sounds like what he needs to do. He needs to get help he doesn't have a mental health problem. Because right now
he's got autism, but the thing is when my mom died, my son was driving. My son was talking. My son was an average, he still had the disability in a way, but he was a functioning 17-year-old, drives and talk and work. And my mom died, and then all of a sudden he is going through very traumatic. Nobody explained to him nothing about, and he's looking for his mom. And he has that happen to him with my aunt, so he regressed. He regressed terribly, but he's back. He's almost back to where, but he was functioning fine until.
Well, this is definitely one for the attorneys, because what you have to do is a couple things. you're going to have him show that he's not mentally incompetent, needs mental treatment. See, the only reason why he's sent to Texas.
He does have a guardian ad litem, if that means whatever that means as well.
What does he have?
A guardian ad litem who acts as his voice. I mean, they won't even talk to me. They have not even ever answered my calls, nothing. Like, this guy, he was set. I mean, I don't even. It's a guardian ad litem. It's an attorney for my son that is supposed to be the voice for my son, but that's as a child.
Have you tried to talk? Have you tried to talk to that attorney?
I have tried to talk to him, and he is just. I mean, I even sent him when my son was a minor. I even sent him he told me to do a parenting, like my routine, like how I would caretake for my son, my plan. And I did 22 pages, and I sent it to him, and I have not heard nothing. And I did that over 8 months ago. And I sent it to him 3 times, but they have these monthly meetings that I'm supposed to be involved in, and I got told that I had to start taking parenting classes on my own. I did all this on my own, like, just because when I do.
Now, wait a second. Why do you have to take parenting classes? What did you do?
Another thing that's going on too, but it's separate.
My problem is that it's hard for me. If you have other things going on, I can't guess. I mean, if you have something else going on, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to pick it.
This is totally separate, though. This is totally separate.
Well,
are you talking about like with my case?
Okay, this is where it gets really complicated. This is probably one of the most complicated cases I ever have, because first of all, and I'm so sorry that you're incarcerated and whatever crime you committed, you've already paid for and you already done your time. Now you want to regain.
Yeah, that's the past. Yeah.
You want to move forward, and you want to have a relationship with your son. And even though now he's well, you want to have now as a grown adult relationship with your son.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
In order to do so, right now he's caught up in a really weird world. He was somehow, because of your mother's sister, the aunt, has somehow convinced the people there that he needed mental help. And since he was a minor, they didn't have the facilities in Georgia to do any help. So that's why they shipped him to the state of Texas. Now, during the internship, it takes a long process, I guess, to get there and get it approved or whatever the case is. He now is no longer a minor. Now you tell me he has some type of a guardian or somebody that's a voice for him. This person has a voice for him. What's he called? A guardian of light?
Pretty much.
It's called a guardian
ad litem. It's kind of like it's a guardian ad litem.
It's like a CASA person, or it's like an ombuds person. Yeah. Okay, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. But this guy,
and this guy is not being cooperative. You're going to have to go to his supervisor. You're going to have to go over his head. If you've already,
you know what's crazy is he is actually from Texas himself. This guardian ad litem got his license in Texas and everything, and he was set in stone. I mean, I tried to get the whole Texas thing called off when I was released from jail for that time after me going to get my brother, and I tried to get my home. I mean, and he was set in stone on this whole Texas, and it's weird that when I looked him up, he is affiliated with Texas. Like, I don't, and that's odd, and that throws it off. I mean, it's weird that all of a sudden they said they were looking for months, but there's Devereaux here in Georgia. Like, there's one not even the next town over that's the same kind of facility as where my son's at out there.
Yeah.
And that's what's great. And but I'll let you know more. The aunt that did this. Hey, I have 3 kids, but they're all 3 of my kids were with different relatives. Okay, so because of that's how we did it, and we went to court about it, and back in 2011. And it was said and done with, case closed. And the judge left it up to me and the family to decide how to handle it. Well, I have a daughter that is with my aunt that did this, and she has guardianship of my daughter, and I got a court date coming up April 24th for my aunt to be held in contempt because she has failed to provide the courts with updated information. And you're supposed to do that annually.
Okay.
So how could some get away with doing this to my son, but yet she can't even do what she's supposed to do with my daughter? You know, give them. So that's, I mean, it's messed up. Like I mean, it was all done out of just greed and selfishness. I mean, she didn't want me having him, and nobody wanted to deal with him. But he's not. I mean, I have my special needs brother that I've had for 8 years. You know, so it's not like I'm not capable of. I'm more than willing and able, and I want to. That's my son.
Yeah. I know that. I'm not trying to say that, but I'm reading a lot of information right now about kids shouldn't have to leave the state to get critical residential treatment. You know, there are stories and stories, and what you really should do, and I'm doing it right now as I'm speaking to you, there are lots of articles. How I researched this one was really easy. I said, why are children be sent to another state for mental health problems? And I found all kinds of things. They say that mental health issues among teens have skyrocketed. Okay. And that there's a lot of discrimination going on and a lot of problems with teens. Okay. And so this show here, I don't know if I can go long enough to help you one show. This may take 2 or 3 shows. But what you need to do yourself is a research like I'm doing and look this up. You need to look up, about ICIP, how they work. You need to look up that person that's given
and
the.
What did you ask? What did you ask again? So
okay, hold on. I said, why are children why are children be sent to another state for mental health problems?
Okay, definitely. I will Google that because that's what's helped me answer a lot of my questions.
Well, this is what I'm saying is that, how I work this show, to be honest with you, is I spent a lot of my own time researching topics like the 388 motion, like the ICWA, all these different things, the flow chart.
Stuff that happened to you in
your
story.
Yes,
is that what
I didn't have
you to where you have the compassion to do this research?
Well, no, because through this show and through my research, I found out that I've been had. I'm angry. I'm angry against CPS for taking advantage. And see, I'm not the norm. I mean, I'm educated. I had a really great paying job. I had a great family. I had no problems. But they destroyed my family. I sold my home. I lost my job. I mean, and so I'm really sad because the outcome of it is one of my 3 children was not returned. And the social worker took upon herself to say, you'll never see your child again. And they told my child to divorce us as parents, to change your name, and to seal your birth certificate. Now, my son still sees my daughter. But my daughter, I mean, I just saw her I saw my daughter on TikTok, which I've not seen her since she's 12, but she's 21 now. And then I saw this thing in 22 on TikTok. I saw my daughter, and she was with her friend doing a silly TikTok thing. They were trying to drink something. It looks like, I don't know what it was, but one didn't like it, and I guess my daughter liked it. But that's the only contact I've seen. My son see my daughter off and on, okay? But she doesn't want to talk to us because she's been convinced that her parents are the problem, and it's not the problem. CPS destroyed my family. So why I get in this show is that I try to tell them, and I have my 3 basic rules. Hire an attorney, get a lawyer, and because that's what you need. Get yourself a notebook to write down all the notes because you need to keep track of everything.
Right.
Yep. And then the third thing is do not let people, don't talk to social workers, don't let them in your home and they're not supposed to take your children without a warrant. They're not supposed to come in your home without a warrant. And there's got to be intimate danger. And so by me hearing.
So they do it. Let me.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I said that by me hearing over 500 stories, and they're from every state. I mean, I'm not just talking to California. I've talked to Boston. There was a case, and you may say this, about somebody like yourself that went into the hospital at Boston Hospital in Massachusetts for some surgery. She placed her children with her mom in another state in Rhode Island.
Oh, wow.
and the hospital reported her where she's not here taking care of her children, and CPS got involved. They found out where the children were. They're at her mom's house. Around, they drove from Boston, Massachusetts to Rhode Island, knocked on the door, and got the children from their grandmother, and took the children. Took the children. So I've heard some crazy stories.
So even grandparents go through this too.
Oh, grandparents go through it. Really sad. I mean, there's always in my show some grandparents. How do I get back my grandchildren? And they don't. CPS Notorious does not like to have grandparents involved at all. They don't. See, the problem with CPS right now is they don't care about you as a human being. They don't care that they're supposed to protect their children from abuse. They're only interested in money. That's the only thing I found something common. All these cases have something in common: money. And once they get the case open, they get the money. And the money is not small. It's $1 billion business is what they're doing. Billion. Now I've gone into researching how it got started. And Child Protection Services in 3 areas. One is colonial period to 1875, then from 1875 to 1962, and the third period is from 1962 to today. And there's been some acts in 74. There was one act. 75 was the Equal Act with American Indian children. 1980 was another act. So I've been studying. I'm trying to find out, what is going on here. And then I also found out there's been a Children Aid Society that started in 1853, and it's still around today. So there's people.
Have you ever heard of the Children's Defense Fund?
No,
the
no,
CPS?
no.
Yeah, that's. I haven't. I'm reading up on it, but I just discovered this in my schooling the other day.
Okay.
We're learning about it. So
okay.
I've switched my degree to about my bachelor's in human services because of all this. I was doing information technology, but I want to know what these guys are, what they're really supposed to do.
Well, the key to any success is knowledge. That's why I went to college. I got my degree, and I always inspire for knowledge. I also get knowledge from the Bible, and my faith in God helps me get going there. So I have about 2 minutes left on my show, so I'm going to tone down. I'm not letting you go. You don't have to go anywhere, Daniel. You can listen. But I'm telling to the rest of my listeners that I want you all to thank you for the comments from Danielle, from Michelle Crosswell Robertson. Again, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. Isaiah Rogers, I'm sorry you're going through some tragic things in there and so forth. And she was one of the first people on the show. But try to remember my 3 rules. Try to get yourself representative. I want to thank Mr. Davis again. And if you want some help, call him at 888-888-6582. If you want to be on my show, you can email into grace@vincentdavis.com and schedule a time to be on my show. I'll be again on tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. I'm on, 14 times a week, twice a day, every day. So it's not like I'm abandoning anybody. And I will try to take the time to resolve issues. I had another guy early this morning. I spent a lot of time with trying to help him. And it was really hard because he wouldn't disclose all the pieces of the puzzle. It's very hard to help somebody if they don't disclose everything. And I'm not meaning that you don't need to say if you don't feel comfortable about it. But anyway, I want to thank.
There's some stuff that don't need to be said on the.
Yeah, I understand. Anyway, I want you to still keep fighting to get your relationship with your son. I know he's an adult, but keep that in mind when you're trying to get access to him, that he's an adult. If he doesn't want to talk to you, he doesn't have to. And so
exactly.
So it's got to be, it's got to be there. But I want to thank you, and I want to thank all my listeners, and keep trying for your kids. Don't give up. You'll get them back. And with that, I'm going to say good night. God bless. And I'll see you as Bob.